Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Victoria Evans. I'm a science-based intuitive eating specialist helping you stop food fear, food guilt, and self-sabotage so you can eat effortlessly and feel amazing. Today I'm going to be sharing with you emotional eating tools. These are some of my favorites, so I hope you enjoy. But before I dig into that, I wanted to ask you for a quick favor, and that is to please subscribe. It really helps me knowing that you're watching these videos and you like them so that I will know to make more of them. I also encourage you to drop into the comments what you'd like to see next. Again, if you found this video useful or any other kind of suggestions or tips or anything like that, like I said, I'm putting a lot of effort to make these videos and I would love your support in making them. With that said, let's talk about emotional eating tools. Now, to understand that, I have to give a quick little context on what is emotional eating. Well, emotional eating is eating as a way often to avoid or suppress or numb ourselves from feeling that emotion. It can also, yes, we can be eating when we're excited and feeling good, but if you're here watching this video, I'm going to assume it's probably related to more the negative emotions that you're struggling with as opposed to the more positive ones. Now, if it is the positive emotions, then drop a comment below and I can make a separate video related to that. Some of the tools will actually relate, but with that said, when I'm explaining this, know I'm speaking mostly about the negative emotions. Now, why I'm saying the negative emotions, why we're often trying to numb and distract, is because we haven't learned how to properly actually feel those emotions, how to process them. What ends up happening is we often resist them and we're often afraid of them. Why that happens is because we never learned how to process those emotions, especially as children. Also in our society, we're not taught how to do these things. I swear, if in school they could do actually useful things instead of learning Pythagorean theorem versus learning, how to do your taxes or how to process emotions or, how to lead with empathy and, create strong, deep friendships and connection. And anyways, side tangent, but I think the world would be a very different place if you learned actual useful life skills in school. Maybe that's just me coming from Canada. Maybe other parts of the world have more, schools that have real life support. But anyways. So basically, when it comes to emotions, we're not essentially taught how to deal with them, process them, and the world we live in today is often a don't feel that emotion. If you're someone who's been socialized as a man, you usually are taught to not feel the weak emotions, or it'd be sadness or fear, and so you show up with like anger and this kind of force and this, again, suppressing those negative emotions that are considered the weaker emotions. And for women, right, we're told that to not feel that anger, to not feel those more masculine emotions, and you can be sad, but not too sad, still be happy. And there's so much kind of conflicting information, like be good, but make sure you always have it together. Anyways, all this to say, there's a lot of judgment. There's a lot of expectations placed on people to feel or not feel certain emotions, only in certain situations, to be perceived as strong or weak or toxic or moody or pushy or whatever. Essentially, you've been given all this messaging to either not feel our emotions or only feel our emotions in a certain way, only feel certain emotions at certain times. Like there's just so much. But the reality is emotions are simply messages from our body that tell us something about ourselves, right? Yet we are so often shooting the messenger. We're telling ourselves, don't feel that negative emotion. It's not safe. We can't feel that, whether it be because our family growing up, it was not safe to express those emotions, whether it be from our society, whether it be from conditioning related to gender, whatever that thing is. So if you are struggling with emotional eating, at the end of the day, what we need to learn is how to understand our emotions so that they're no longer something that is unfamiliar. Because what our brain sees as unfamiliar, it sees as unsafe. So what you want to do is start to create that awareness of what those emotions are and remove that fear, remove that unknown factor, because again, we've been avoiding them and not dealing with them, and not as a result of us kind of avoiding them and not dealing with them and suppressing them, our brain has decided that they are something to be avoided, they're something that are a threat, and because our body's main goal is survival and it sees these things as something we're trying to intentionally stay away from, it sees them as possibly threatening. So we're going to go eat so I can focus on that food. And as often as well, we feel more comfortable hating ourselves for emotionally eating than we do for, the pain of feeling that original emotion. And when I talk about it in our programs, which I also invite you, as a side note, to book a free strategy call using the link below, we can talk more about this on the call together. But basically understanding that if you kind of think about it like a fork in the road, where it's kind of like a pick your poison, right? I can either feel the emotional pain of feeling this emotion that is uncertain and unfamiliar, or I can feel the emotional pain of eating that food, and which is more familiar, right? So I can hate myself for overeating, or I can hate myself for whatever that thing is that I'm trying to avoid. Maybe I'm feeling really insecure at my job, or in my work, I'm not happy, or in my marriage, or whatever that thing is. And the pain of feeling the negative emotion of judging yourself and hating yourself for eating is often easier and more familiar than the pain of feeling that actual emotion that was, the original thing that we're trying to avoid. So we end up kind of going this path, when in reality, once we learn how to feel and process our emotions, they're not actually as scary, they're not as painful, then we can easily go this way and not need to do the whole emotional eating situation to kind of numb, distract, and avoid. With that said, you are human. You are going to emotionally eat. I still emotionally eat, and it's okay. What I invite you to do is really get curious about what is coming up, right? Sometimes I know I am feeling so overwhelmed. I'm so stressed. I'm going to eat some of this food. I know that's not going to solve my problem, but it can be that in conjunction with something else, or, it could just be that I'm maybe just going to have those cookies, right? But at the end of the day, it's creating that awareness around why you're doing something so that it becomes a choice and not this default, I'm just going to eat all this food because you feel like you have to, and not really understanding truly what's kind of underneath it. Right? So it creates this level of empowerment because this becomes a choice with awareness as opposed to a default kind of reaction. So with that said, if you're someone who is emotionally eating and it's happening, don't judge yourself, don't beat yourself up, right? Meet yourself with curiosity and compassion to understand why it's happening. And from there, it can start to become a choice. If you'd help with that, come chat with me. I'm more than happy to. This is really what I've built my entire career around. So with that said, my first tool when it comes to emotional eating is to check in with yourself. It sounds so silly and so simple, but we go throughout the day never really wondering, never checking in with what's happening with us. And then we get to the end of the day and we often find ourselves emotionally eating because there's so much going on and we have no idea how to kind of sift through and understand what those things are. The analogy I've always used with clients, it's almost like beginning of the day and you're a juggler. And each thing that happens is like a bowling pin. I guess if you're a juggling bowling pins, it's like a bowling pin being tossed to you and you're juggling that, and then another one being tossed to you and you're juggling that. And it gets to the end of the day and you're juggling like 10,000 things, and it's too much. Your brain's like, I can't process all these emotions, all these things that have happened to us. So I'm just gonna go eat these foods and let all those bowling pins fall and not deal with it, right? But all those bowling pins are telling us something, right? They're little messages that are being tossed to us for us to read. So what I invite you to do is have these moments of check-in throughout the day, whether it be right the first thing when I sit down at my desk, I wrote down, I have tools for this in my programs, but I'm writing down, how I'm feeling in that moment. And then again, after lunch, I'm checking in, and then maybe after dinner, setting some time. So that way it's like you're being tossed, right? That bowling pin, you're looking at it, you're putting it down. You're being tossed one, you're looking at it, you're putting it down. So at the end of the day, you don't have 10,000 things that you're juggling, that are so overwhelming you can't really process what is going on. So that's kind of my first tip, is to build in check-ins throughout your day so that you're not feeling overwhelmed at the end of the day and you don't understand what is the emotion that's coming up for you, what's actually going on, because you've created the time and the space to actually check in with yourself and have that awareness of those emotions. The second tip I have for you is to paint with all your colors. What does that mean? Basically, it means having emotional granularity. Emotional granularity means the ability to be more granular, be more specific with what emotions you are feeling. So when I talk about it in my work, I talk about it in terms of umbrella terms. So often we say things like, I'm just stressed, I'm just tired. But are you tired, or are you lonely? Are you disappointed? Are you feeling let down? Right? Is there kind of, it's like the umbrella, and then going deeper and deeper and deeper, what is really going on there? Because if we're not granular with our emotions, we're going to end up taking the wrong action as a result. For example, if I'm always saying I'm tired when I'm actually lonely and I go take a nap, right? But my body needs to be connecting with other people and to feel as part of a group, right? That's the wrong action to isolate myself and go take a nap. That's not working through, that's not acknowledging what that message was that my body sent me. right? So we need to be able to be specific, be granular with our emotions. And I have so many different tools for this, but one thing can even simply be looking and reading a bunch of emotions, right? So printing out a big list of emotions and just kind of reminding yourself of your emotional vocabulary. What are the different ways we can describe what is going on, so we can paint with all the different colors and really create this kind of vivid image to describe what is going on and how we're feeling in our life, instead of just a black and gray, image of I'm tired or I'm stressed. Well, that doesn't really paint the full picture of what's truly going on. My third one is to not judge yourself, right? We have type 1 emotions and type 2 emotions. Type 1 emotions is I'm overwhelmed or I'm lonely, right? The type 2 emotions are a judgment of a type 1 emotion. I shouldn't be lonely. I shouldn't be overwhelmed. I should be able to get through this. I should be able to blah, 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 right? It's that judgment that's layered onto the emotion. As a result, we often get stuck in the emotions. Versus just giving yourself that permission, giving yourself that allowance to feel that emotion. So literally saying to yourself, I allow myself to feel overwhelmed. I am allowing myself to feel frustrated. I'm allowing myself to feel lonely. Sounds strange, or even I'm allowing myself to rest, which is a super powerful one, which is not directly related to emotion, but I find that super powerful as someone who grew up as always a perfectionist overachiever, feeling like I had to earn my worth by doing and pushing and blah, blah, blah. So my third tip for you, right, is to not make it mean something about yourself or feeling a certain emotion. Don't judge yourself. I shouldn't be happy. I should be I shouldn't be sad. I should be grateful, or, whatever those things are. You can also hold two emotions at the same time. You can be overwhelmed but also grateful you still have a job, right? You can feel exhausted but still happy to see your kids or your dog when you get home, right? So you can also hold two different emotions. You can also feel like contrasting emotions, and not feel like you have to just pick one and stay in that, right? We're human beings. We have, again, that whole array of colors that we can paint with in terms of the emotions that we're feeling. So don't tell yourself you shouldn't be feeling this, or I shouldn't be feeling that, or I only feel this or only feel that, because you're going to have that whole spectrum, right? You're going to have that whole array of different colors. And giving yourself permission and allowing yourself to feel that by literally saying, I am allowing myself to feel X emotion. So those are a couple quick tips to give you for emotional eating tools, just as to kind of remind you, right, those check-ins throughout the day to make sure you're creating that awareness so it doesn't get to the end of the day and you have all the bowling pins you're juggling, you have no idea what's going on. The second one is to create a larger emotional vocabulary. So maybe Googling and looking up and expanding your emotional vocabulary so that you can, again, paint with all those colors and be more granular with the emotions that you are feeling. The third one, right, is not judge yourself. Give yourself that allowance and permission to feel emotion, so you can feel two different ones or multiple at the same time. Doesn't mean something has gone wrong. It means that you are human. With that said, I'd love to ask you to please subscribe, as well as like and comment below what type of video you'd like to see next. I would love to be making content that is useful and valuable for you specifically. As well, I'd like to invite you to book a free assessment call below. I would absolutely love to help you and get to chat with you face to face. I love working with people one-on-one or being in groups or using my different programs to help educate and teach you, because really what I teach here in my YouTube videos is just scratching the surface, and we go so much deeper, have so many more tools and workbooks and everything all put together for you step by step so that it's easy for you to create transformation in your life and empower you. All right, thank you so much for watching, and until next week, I hope you have an amazing rest of your day. Bye.